Cool, so that's recording started. This is the NWC show, episode 14, I think it is. And if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Spawn, my name's Ross, Geordie as I'm known around Newcastle for some absurd interviews on a football fan channel, the Magpie channel, which two of my best friends run. But massive wrestling fan, to be honest. Just looking to reach out and chat about wrestling, really. Wow.
Yeah, man, when I seen your... when you DM'd us on Twitter, I was looking for somebody to do a podcast on Thursday anyway, so I was like, this is like the perfect opportunity. So the first question we always kick off all these podcasts with is, what got you into wrestling? What was that moment you saw it and you were like, this is my shit, this is what I need to watch?
So it's a bit of I probably got deep in the weeds a bit, so I've got an older brother, 7 years older. So I'm 30, so I was born 1990, and I probably remember mainly from when I was like 4, 5 years old. I had old VHSs, so it was probably like WrestleMania 1 and 2, which I wasn't even born for. But I remember like Macho, Hulk, but the Hart Foundation, probably fell in love with the Hart Foundation from a very young age. Bret Hart, just incredible. Don't know why, I've got no idea why, but that wrestler stuck with us. But then really, it just grew from there. It's weird when you're young, I watched it. I wouldn't even say I watched it weekly. Whenever it was on, I watched it. But I watched every pay-per-view. Maybe released to stay up. I remember sleeping downstairs when we had Sky box office. And then it just grew from there. And then I think it was Bad Blood, Shawn Michaels Taker, and that's when, from that match, it was just skyrocketed. Yeah, I wouldn't miss a second of it. WWE through and through at the time, obviously. I wish I was a bit older. I wish I'd watched WCW more, because I hadn't. But no, I loved it, mate. Yeah, and just been with it ever since. Probably more into it now than I ever have been. Like, every week, it's weird. There's just more content. There's more to talk about. Like, yeah, love it, mate. Absolutely love it. That's pretty much it. Like, yeah.
Yeah, well, we're quite similar ages, so I turned 30 this year, which I'm pretty stressed about anyway. But so I was like, kind of young. I was in my mum's friend's house. There was just wrestling on, and I was like, just standing watching it. Yeah, a few years later, back then there wasn't any cool stuff like YouTube, the WWE network. It was VHSs, and hopefully you get it on a Saturday, because if you're anything like me, your parents just didn't pay for Sky at that time.
It's crazy. I think I must have been about 3 years behind up until about 97, because we had VHS. All I remember is Silver Vision. It was like my favourite sign. Yeah. But yeah, I remember. But we even had like my VHSs. We had Super Brawl 2, and I always remember Brian Pillman versus Jushin Liger. It blew me mind. I think Pillman just did a standard splash off the ropes, and it's just stuck with us ever since. Absolutely incredible, man. I remember RoboCop coming out. I think it was a Sting match, and RoboCop come out. Don't even know the name of the event, but it's just stuck with us completely. Insane, probably terrible. But at the time, I loved it just because I was watching stuff from years behind. It's class, man.
Yeah, man. I think like people forget how much like there was like the UK and like just anybody outside of America was years behind. Like VHSs would come out like 2-3 years later.
Crazy.
You're younger, you're not staying up to watch a pay-per-view at like 2 o'clock in the morning and stuff like that.
No, it was mental, mate. Absolutely mental. Like I say, I relied on my brother for his video tapes, and my grandma used to go to America once a year. She would come back with wrestling figures. I remember she'd come back with nails, and we couldn't believe it. He's a terrible wrestler, terrible character, but I was so happy that I had nails because we couldn't get him in the UK. Mental, ridiculous, really. But,
This is the thing I was talking about in another podcast, was like how much everything's easy to get now. So like WWE Network, it's just like you've got the WCW stuff, AWA, like everything pretty much, which is insane. And like you were saying, there's so much content around wrestling just now. There's different shows every single day pretty much, and it's the best time to kind of be a wrestling fan. Unfortunately, it looks like it's still in a downward turn, but they're making more money than ever. So.
It's weird, you know. I think did people complain about it back in the day as much? It's weird because I remember just loving it completely, and now there's just so much content, and I love it. I love it even more because we can just talk about it. Like I didn't even know the AWA existed until I was about 13 or 14. Stuff like that, you know. I think I used to get. I don't know if you ever got Power Slam magazine. My brother used to get it. Yeah. Monthly. I think it was monthly. Power Slam magazine, and that's where I read everything, and I just took it as gospel. But I didn't know like half the history. So if somebody coming into WWE, like it sounds stupid. When Ric Flair came in, my brother had to explain who Ric Flair was, because I didn't take him as a big deal at all. Because I was like, I was like 4 years old. It happened 2 years earlier. When really, if that happened now, I would be going crazy. I'd be so happy. But it's crazy.
No, definitely, man. I think everybody was the same like, because we were so much younger, it was either for me, it was WWE or the Channel 5 when they put WCW on. On like a Saturday night when I seen Sting, that was like my guy. But like if it was somebody from like ECW back then that came up, like Sandman, Raven, whoever, I would just be like, don't know who this guy is. It's not Sting. Like it's no Sting, Austin, Taker, no those guys, Bret Hart. I don't care. Those were my guys when I was younger. But then now I'm like, all those opportunities that I miss watching such good wrestling, which is you kick yourself sometimes about it.
Just wish you had more opportunity to watch it back then. Like, to be fair, because it's one thing watching it back, but watching it at the time live happening, you can't quite beat it. It's incredible, yeah. Absolutely incredible.
And the worst thing about watching it back is you realise how bad some of the storylines were. You're like, why was I into this as a kid? Like, this was terrible.
The Attitude Era was doing like 10 million viewers, and I look at some of them storylines and I think, hold on a second, what's going on? These storylines are terrible, but no, it's crazy, absolutely crazy. That's wrestling, though, isn't it? I think you've got your 2-hour show or whatever. I think some of it's terrible, but I tend to stick around for one character or the potential of something happening, that surprise. For some reason in wrestling, a surprise is the best thing. I don't even know how to explain it. It doesn't even make any sense. But I'm just like a Rumble. All you want to do is to see when the AJ Styles turned up at the Rumble. I've never been more. Obviously, I was probably 25, maybe 24. I don't know how long ago it was, but absolutely insane. You know, I was marking out like I was a child just because AJ Styles turned up at the Rumble.
But so, what's the best thing you like about wrestling just now? What's the one thing that you're like about today's product? The one thing that you love about it?
So I'll put it out there. I'm pro WWE still. It's like Coronation Street or EastEnders for me parents. You know, you kind of stop watching it. But my favourite thing about wrestling at the minute is probably MJF and AEW. MJF is just I watched I like AEW, but I watched the show specifically just to see what he's doing like that week. So I'll forward through. Obviously, I record it. I forward through. As soon as he's on, stop, play. It's just honestly, mate, he's incredible. He's like, absolutely insane. But in terms of today's wrestling, to be honest with you, again, mate, like even the WrestleManias, like the storylines and stuff going to them, don't really, they're not always great. But when you get the stadium show, that stadium show at WrestleMania is insane. Like you're just hyped for it instantly, even though it's about 7-8 hours long. It's incredible. It's just mate, the production, everything's better. You know what I mean? So. But yeah, no, I absolutely love it. It's a bit on a downward turn. It's not as enjoyable as it was. I think the last really enjoying it was when Daniel Bryan kept getting screwed and then obviously won everything at WrestleMania. That was the last time I was really marking out. But then since AEW's come along, I haven't missed a pay-per-view. Watched it. It's been incredible, mate. The Cody Rhodes, Dustin Rhodes match, probably the best match I've seen in years. Absolutely loved it, man. Absolutely. I was invested. Like I forgot that it was wrestling for a second. When it does that, it's incredible, mate. Yeah. So AEW definitely, I'm excited to see where they can go. To be honest with you, just hopefully the viewers pick up and stuff, and they just keep going.
Yeah, man, it's really cool talking to somebody that's just excited about wrestling because a lot of times you get people on the show that are just like, so we've got actual wrestlers on here. They'll be talking about the back office kind of side of stuff, and we've got like other YouTubers on it or other kind of fans. They just kind of. They'll have a team, and that's the team that you need to watch. I just like wrestling. I'll watch anything. Like if I come into somebody's house or somebody puts on YouTube like wrestling stuff, I'll just sit and watch it. It could be the worst match ever, but I'll sit and watch it. I don't care.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I've been on Twitter for about year and a half properly now. I was when I was younger, I come off and then got back into it just for it's a Magpie channel, and then I just realised I was obviously a massive wrestling following, and a lot of my friends aren't wrestling fans at all. I'm sort of me brother in that sense. But yeah, mate, there's so much negativity and stuff, and I just don't get it. Like if you like one thing, you like one thing, but you don't need to bash it. I love WWE, and I know when something's terrible, but I just enjoy it. It is what it is. I look forward to the surprise. Even if there's 1 or 2 matches on a card, that's class. I think I'm paying £10 a month. I really don't mind, especially all the content that's on there. But then when AEW come along, I'd say for the first year, I was so invested because it was so different as well. I think that's something I'm starting to get used to it now. But then I think their long-term storytelling's a bit better as well. I think just certain characters, you can say it's a long-term thing where WWE, it's month-to-month booking a lot of the time, which you don't invest as much. Yeah, I love wrestling. I don't really watch too much of Impact. I read the results, if I'm honest. So with Impact, I read the results for every monthly pay-per-view. I'll pick out from what I read what I want to go and watch the highlights of. There's so much as well. I haven't got time. I've literally got a full-time job, 2 children, trying to choose what I want to watch. I do the same with NXT. I love NXT, but I just haven't got the time to watch it weekly. So I'll flip forward through, but I don't miss a takeover. Obviously, takeovers are incredible. Again, doesn't even feel like WWE, although it is, which people don't really give it enough credit for. See loads of hate towards WWE. I think you're watching NXT every month religiously. It's literally the same company, but no, love that, mate. I wish I could get into New Japan Pro. Watch highlights and some of the matches look incredible, but it's just so different to what I'm used to. And because I'm not watching it weekly, it's hard for us to invest. But some of the matches are incredible. Like, I just wish like Will Ospreay and stuff would just come over to AEW or WWE. But no, I think that's my next goal over the next year, to try and get into New Japan. I really would like to get into it. The talented, just storyline wise, I really struggle. But yeah, I just love it, man. Like, more wrestling, the better for me. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, man, that Japanese kind of style is for a lot of wrestling fans, they don't really like it because it's more about the in-ring work. It's not really about a story. Yeah, everything about it's totally different. It's always been like that as well. But so I would say it's a good thing to try and get into. The big shows are the best things to watch. Like, apart from that, you're not really going to get. They sum everything up at the big shows. You know what I mean? There's not really much.
Yeah.
You don't need to go watch like a middle of nowhere Japanese town wrestling show. Like, just wait for the big shows. That's what I normally do. And I don't even review them for the channel. I just watch them because I like them, because nobody really knows who they are. Like, so when I'm watching it, my partner comes in and she's like, "Who's this guy? Like, why are you watching 2 Japanese guys wrestle?" I'm like, "I don't know, just I like it. Leave me alone. Makes me happy."
No, definitely, man. They're definitely going to try and get into it, without a doubt.
And the other thing is, what's one thing you dislike about today's product? Is it the storytelling, the WWE's month to month? What's something that you dislike about it?
I wish WWE did more long-term storyline. So, like I say, I love WWE. Like, I can't. It's ingrown. I've watched this since I was that young. You know what I mean? It's I can't help but love it. But yeah, long-term story. Like, so I go back to the Daniel Bryan thing. So I remember at the time everybody was kicking off because he kept getting screwed. Specifically when Triple H screwed him when he thought he'd won. I don't kick off until maybe a year later when I realised that the payoff hasn't happened. Where I thought it worked perfectly, because come WrestleMania and when he won, although I was an adult, I felt like a kid. I was that happy. And that's the definition of long-term storyline telling, you know what I mean? Like Sting and WCW back in the day. So I didn't watch that properly, but I went back and watched, obviously, the Nitros and stuff. Absolutely incredible. Long-term storyline telling you can't beat it if you get the right story. But WWE is very, sometimes it's week to week, which I get. They've got, obviously, it's a massive company. They've got to have certain ratings and stuff like that, but surely they could put in 2 or 3 more long-term storyline telling plans. But I don't know, obviously the Roman Reigns thing at the minute, to me it looks like, I don't know how long they've had that in the works, but to me, to everybody, it seems like it would be perfect for The Rock to have his final match come back. But obviously with COVID, if they're not going to have a full stadium, sort of makes no sense. So I've got no idea, I'm just guessing. You know, but to me that would be great long-term storyline. Roman Reigns to do that for a full year, even continue it for another year. And then have The Rock come out. If that's long-term storyline telling, I'll be absolutely delighted. But no, I don't like that. I hate titles not being cared about. So that's the one thing with WWE. The titles mean nothing at the minute. Obviously Reigns' title does, but then The Miz just cashed in, which I get. I don't mind. I quite like The Miz. He's a snarky heel, but I think he'll drop it at the next pay-per-view because I can't imagine him being champion. So I think then what's the point? I'd rather you try to cash it and he didn't do it. But yeah, the titles, mate, there's too many as well. Like, I think on paper it sounds like a good idea, but then if you're not giving them, you've got lots of hours of TV. If you're not treating them like they care, and then why should I care? So yeah, it does me head in. Like, I think when you see now when he had the US title and he was doing like the title challenge, I think that should just happen constantly for one of the belts. And I don't think the championship changes much. Obviously McIntyre had the title for a while. And Reigns has, so I suppose the main titles has been alright, but yeah, less like tag titles. I wish there was just one set, and maybe across 3 brands, NXT and stuff, because I just don't care about it. I wish I did. I really want to care about the titles. It's a superficial thing, but back in the day, from when I grew up watching it, like Hogan would be the champion for like 4 years. You know, like Bret would have the title for ages. It was better because when they finally lost it, it really meant something.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. Like, the belts need to mean something a little bit more. Like, Austin Rock, like when one of them would lose the belt or something like that, Taker would lose the belt, whatever, you'd just be like,
Massive.
This is insane. But like now, like you just forget they've even got, and the belts look so ugly as well. Like there's just big, stupid WWE looking. It looks like they've just created it in like the create a belt on one of the older games.
It's got to be for kids and stuff because it's commercial. And obviously, in terms of financial, they're making so much money. They're doing something right. You know what I mean? Obviously, they've probably built up this relationship with advertisers for years, but as a fan, you're a bit gutted because you just want it to go back a bit more edgy, belts to be nicer. Where AEW, their belts are lush, the belts are valued at the minute, and granted they've just started, but they're going the right way about it, so I care about their belts. So when Kenny Omega won the title, and I'm going to put it out there, I'm not a massive Omega fan. I love his in-ring work. That's the character that doesn't do much for us at the minute. Hopefully his heel character, though, gets better. I can work with that. I prefer heels to faces anyway, to be honest. So.
But I'm the exact same. Like I love Kenny Omega's in-ring work, I always have, but I just can't stand these characters. I don't know why. Like, he's probably just a nice person, like perfectly fine. I'd like to speak to the guy, but I just can't stand his kid. Every time he speaks, I'm like, my God, man. And I watch it for the channel as well to make like a review on it. Yeah. Sometimes he's talking and I'm like, oh, Jesus. And I'm like, I always know I'm going to give this a poor bad impression, but I just don't really care for what he's got to say. Like,
it's subjective, isn't it? Wrestling. That's another thing. Wrestling is really subjective. So one person might absolutely. So Austin, I don't know. I was never a massive Austin fan, but again, I think it's because he feuded with Bret, and I was quite young at the time, so I hated him with a passion. With everything I had, I hated Steve Austin. So when he got massive, I loved it when The Rock was challenging because I just want The Rock to win constantly. So I was never. But looking back, like I love Austin now. I'm older. I look back and think he was hilarious. You know. But at the time, I honestly didn't really care. I wanted Vince to beat him. Like, it's ridiculous, really. But I hated him, yeah. But,
no, man, I totally get. I love that about wrestling as well. That everybody can have their different kind of thoughts on it. That I had another podcast with another YouTuber, and he loves AEW. Like he's the biggest AEW fan you'll ever get, and he just hates WWE. But I always say I like wrestling. Like he says he likes wrestling, but he's poor. Kenny Omega's great. The Kenter stuff and stuff like that, and I was like, when I was watching it with my fiance, and she was like, "Who's this guy that's just came out?" And I had to try and explain it. I was like, "He's this Japanese guy, and he's really good in the ring," and she's like, "I don't really care," and I'm like, "You need to care about it." But no, that's the best thing about wrestling is people can hate something, love something. It's like probably one of the best things at polarising the audience and make like half the audience love it and half the audience hate it, which is brilliant.
Tell you what's insane about wrestling. I think I'm going to call it a sport because to me it is a sport, but obviously some people might have an issue with that. It's the only sport in the world that I enjoy talking about more than watching, and I love watching it. It's mental. Like I listen to 83 Weeks, Eric Bischoff, all Connor Thompson's podcasts. I listen to them pretty much. They're just insane. Obviously, you just learn so much that I didn't know, which is really what I enjoy. Like with wrestling, you want to know more behind the scenes than anything else. Like I don't really care what a footballer's like behind the scenes, but like a wrestler, I'm desperate to know what they're like. Like MJF, for example, he's the first modern day heel that I've come across. Like anything that he tweets, anything that he does, I don't think I've even, unless he's an absolute cock in real life, he's like just the perfect modern day heel. He's got me absolutely invested completely.
He sticks to his character really good, which is something that I would like to see every wrestler do. Keep their TV character online as well.
It just takes it out. It's stupid because we know it's not. We know it's predetermined, whatever you want to call it. But when you're watching it weekly on TV, so Charlotte Flair is probably my favourite wrestler in the world. Has been for the past 3 years. Like in terms of just everything, I think she's incredible. Like just big matches. She's on TV a lot. Don't get us wrong. Storyline at the minute, I am not happy about at all. But she's just tweeted happy birthday to her dad. I get it, it's your dad, but you're meant to be a character in a storyline with him at the minute where like you really shouldn't be tweeting happy birthday. Like it's just silly little things like that, but it just takes you out of it. But it is what it is. It's modern day, isn't it? I can't do too much about it. But.
No, I totally agree, man. I don't think you should be like she just told her dad to leave her alone on Monday, then now it's Thursday, she's like happy birthday. You're like, you made up what's happened. But no, I think you should just keep social media. You're working. Do you know what I mean? You make your money after making people believe you. It's like a magician showing you a card trick, and then check my Twitter out, but I'll show you how to do it. You know what I mean? You're like, what's the point in that? Why are you showing me then?
It should be. If you're using social media, that's probably a law that says you can't do that. But to me, social media should be an extension of your character. It shouldn't be personal, like in that sense. You know what I mean? It should be an extension of your character for me. But that's what I would like to see. But
I know, I totally agree, man. You can have a personal social media, keep it private, friends and family, but then like that's different. You're a wrestling character. Like back in the 90s, I doubt the Undertaker was like the nicest person when he was outside. You know what I mean? He was still a big, scary Undertaker looking guy, or like Austin was still at the bar drinking beer. Do you know what I mean? He's not going to be like just outside. He's just happy to like. You couldn't imagine him going to like a 5-star restaurant, sitting like just imagine him like eating burgers, drinking beers and stuff like that. That's what I think. That just takes the social media's ruined wrestling a little bit, but it's also there's so much of it, and it's probably the best part of wrestling as well, is seeing everybody talk about it.
So all the documentaries on the network that shows you behind the scenes, I absolutely love them. Absolutely love them. But there's a little bit of us that wish I didn't know anything. Like it's really weird because I do want to see, but because I've seen it takes us out of it a little bit. It's really weird. I'd rather see, but I wish I didn't. If that makes sense. But
it's just like I always describe it like a magician. Like you want to know how he does it, but you don't really want to know how he does it. Like you want. I would love to know how they disappear. I mean, I like the Masked Magician, if you remember that back in Channel 5 back in the day. And it would be like, shows you all the tricks, and it's like, I'm not really interested in finding out how you make this elephant appear. I just really want to see the elephant appear because that looks cooler. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I think that's what social media does, makes it just ruins it a little bit. We kind of like you said, documentaries. Like when you see, I get it, you've got this long journey, this long story. If you're a good person, you have a documentary. If you're the bad guy, then don't have a documentary, just be the bad guy, you know what I
mean? No, I can get on board with that, definitely, without a doubt.
It's like Kane setting people on fire back in the early 2000s. You wouldn't want a documentary about his hard upbringing and how he's came up and made something of himself and stuff like that. You want to see him just come out and chokeslam people and stuff, which is...
Oh, man, honestly, when Kane come out of Bad Blood, I can't even explain. So obviously, UK time, about 3:40 in the morning, and I was 7 years old in a sleeping bag downstairs watching it. Yeah, I remember on Kane. It's weird that I remember it so vividly. I was petrified, genuinely scared. I had no idea who he was. I don't even think I'd been watching weekly because I was 7 years old. You know what I mean? So I watched every pay-per-view with my brother. I just remember being absolutely petrified and just couldn't wait to find out what was going on. That match blew us away as well. When you watch the bump that Michaels takes, it's not even that bad compared to what we've seen. Like, you're conditioned to it. But at the time, I couldn't believe it. I was like, he's dead. He is dead. That match is so good, man. Such a match. Incredible.
I mean, the worst thing I hear about Kane is my last name's Kane, and it's spelled the exact same way, which, so anytime in school you're trying to do like a wrestling thing, whatever, I was always Kane. I didn't really like Kane. I was like, can I go somebody else? And they're like, nah, you need to go Kane. You need to choke slam people. And I hate this. This isn't fun.
No, mate, it could be worse. I remember, so living room, just me mother in or whatever. I'd get all the cushions off the settee. Everybody, if you like wrestling, had wrestling matches with themselves. Pretended there was somebody there. I'd be jumping off me banister, but me theme song was Tina Turner, Simply the Best. Which the time I thought it was really cool, but looking back, I probably wasn't too cool.
Yeah, man, I'm from a bit in Glasgow that you never used to be allowed to play that song here. So, so where do you see yourself in 10 years? Do you see yourself still being a fan? Do you maybe see yourself getting involved in the business, making more content? Would you see yourself maybe try to get a commentator job or something with like a small promotion? What do you see yourself doing?
To be honest with you, I'm definitely going to be a fan. I've only become a bigger fan since I've got older, since I've got my own house, since I've got money. It sounds stupid, but even between the age of 14 to 20, obviously I had a bar job when I was 18, but I didn't have much money. We didn't have Sky where I was living at the time. So I either have to obviously trying to stream it or get it, and I'd wait till it come out with HMV. Obviously, I'd read about it. I had the internet, you know what I mean? But so I remember the only 2 WrestleManias I've missed since I was about 12 was the 2 Undertaker Shawn Michaels ones. So everybody loves their matches. I went back and watched them. I enjoyed them, but because I didn't watch it live, I haven't got the same love for them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely be a fan, without a doubt. It'll only get bigger. I'm hoping that AEW is just as, well, it won't be just as big because it's not global, but, you know, up there, big company, so I can watch both, more content. Since I've been on Twitter for the past probably year and a half, I've realised there's a massive following for wrestling. I wouldn't mind thinking just timing, obviously, with kids and stuff, but setting up a podcast, just chatting about wrestling. No, like, I haven't got many people just to chat about wrestling with, other than my brother. Just because my friends who I hang out with, obviously, we're banging into football, boxing, and stuff like that. But the technically it was for like in wrestling, really, you know. But it's just never going to stop. I love it. I wouldn't want to try and get a commentator's job or anything like that, or try to get into the business. I really want to go to more events. That's what I really want to do. So speaking to my wife, obviously I have to get approval. I think the plan is to try to get to WrestleMania LA. So not for 2023. The whole wanting to go. My brother was at SummerSlam 92. He would have been 9. Obviously, I was only 2, so I didn't go. Yeah. But my brother, obviously, you can remember that vividly. But yeah, I'm desperate to do WrestleMania. So obviously, you can get packages through like wrestling tours and stuff. So it's definitely doable. Financing and stuff at the moment. So I think I'm definitely going to do a WrestleMania. I need to do a Rumble. A Rumble is probably my favourite event. Yeah, Rumble is. Yeah, I love it. There's something special about the Rumble. So I want to do more events. I'm desperate to do an AEW event. I really regret when I was younger. I didn't have the money or anything, but like when CM Punk and Daniel Bryan and Samoa Joe was smashing it in like Ring of Honor and stuff, I talked about it like I knew it was happening at the time. I didn't. So when they come in, I read about them and then went back and watched highlights. I didn't see like indie wrestling or anything at the time, and I wish I'd went to see more of it. So plan to go and see much more indie wrestling. I think it's at ICW up in Scotland. They had the documentary on BBC. I would love to go and see an ICW event. Honestly, after watching the documentary on BBC, love to go and see, go and watch more events. So I want to go and see, obviously, WWE events. I've been to events, like come to Newcastle when The Rock was here. He called all trailer park trash. It was crazy when I think about Austin, Triple H, The Rock. It's a house show. That's insane when I look back and I think about what I'd take and stuff. And now I've got Baron Corbin, but I'll deal with what I've got. But yeah, my main thing is to go to a lot more events. And I think obviously I'm just going to try and reach out and do a few more podcasts and stuff. I might try to set up my own channel depending on time. Because I think you've got to put a lot of time and effort into it, So I wouldn't do something that I'm committing fully. But yeah, definitely going to be watching it and stuff without a doubt.
Yeah, man, ICW comes down to Newcastle all the time as well. I think they come down there 3-4 times a year.
I think it'll probably be the O2 Academy. It might be called something different now. It used to be the Colin Academy. Yeah, if they do, I'll be. And that documentary was incredible. I watched. I think Drew McIntyre and stuff was on it before he went back to WWE as well.
Yeah, I've never seen it because it's on the. I've never seen it because it's on the BBC, so I don't watch it up here. But I know what documentary you're talking about. It's a pretty cool thing. ICW's, it's on the network just now as well. They have kind of weekly shows, which is.
You know this.
You can check out the one that was at the Hydro and stuff like that. They have lots of different kind of stuff. They have good wrestlers on it. I definitely would say go check it out if you want to kind of get into a good kind of UK wrestling kind of promotion.
I love NXT UK, so I understand it's not on the same level as other stuff, but in terms of in-ring, when you get one of the big matches like Walter and stuff, incredible. So the UK takeovers have been class. Different style of wrestling, like Pete Dunne, I forget the kid, he's in the tag, I forget his name, Mustache Mountain or whatever. The younger lad, he's excellent, absolutely incredible. I think he was the first NXT champion and Pete Dunne beat him, but yeah, man, I love NXT UK as well. I watch that weekly. Forward through bits. It's hard at the minute wrestling because it's not wrestling without fans is really difficult. I remember when they did Mania, I watched it and I hated it. Like it's not it's because I wasn't used to it either. It was such a change. I just couldn't. I didn't. The only match I enjoyed was Charlotte Flair Ripley. It's the only one I enjoyed. Mm-hmm. I sort of enjoy Taker Styles. Everybody's raving about it. I thought it was all right. I get it, but it wasn't great. Hated Wyatt and Cena, and everybody seemed to really like that. And I get why they've done it. It's something totally different. But for me, I think at the time, I think if I was to watch Mania now, I'd probably enjoy it more. Mm-hmm. I was so not used to watching wrestling without fans. You could hear everything. Also, they were coming out of coming down the aisle and like waving to fans that weren't there. I don't know what's going on. Like
they didn't even have the TVs, like the kind of kid on there waving at people. It was just nobody there, and they were just like the cheering and stuff like that, which was so awkward.
I couldn't get over it. I was like, what are you doing? Surely you know there's not people there. Like, I can take you looking at the camera and stuff, like, but there's nobody there. It just really threw us. But then I think some of the events they were a bit weird at first, but I think having people there as fans, part of the crew, it got a bit better. Thunderdome, I enjoy pay-per-views. I hate SmackDown and Raw with Thunderdome. It seems too loud. I don't know why. It drowns everything out. So I really struggle. So I forward through quite a bit. If the Hurt Business are on, I'm checking the Hurt Business out. They were all jobbers to me at one point, and they're really, really enjoying it. There's lots to be happy about with wrestling. You can always pick your flaws with it, but it's like anything, you know what I mean? It's one of those things. If you like wrestling, you like it, and you'll give it a go. So
yeah, 100%. Remember the no crowd kind of stuff. I used to go to wrestling shows for like with my friends, and it would just be like one or two of them would be wrestling, there'd be nobody in the audience, it would just be me. And so I'm used to seeing that, like those nobody turns up show. I'm paying for the ticket, and I'm paying for the just like here's my ticket price.
Tell you what I went to. I went. So I've got a lad from high school. He's not like a friend or anything, but he was a year younger. And I'm from a town called Asherton originally. It's a little miners village. And he's doing quite well. He was with a Newcastle-based wrestling. So I trained to be a wrestler. And we had a show. He had a show at the Asherton Leisure Centre, and he was fighting Sabu. It was only £10 a ticket. I thought, I can't miss this. It was insane. Sabu looked so old. It was incredible. There was about 30 people there. But you know what, mate? I had a blast. It was really good. I'll tell you who's that. I don't know if you watch NXT UK, but there's a tag team that's on it sort of weekly now. I forget the names, but they pretend to be animals, essentially. It sounds ridiculous, but he's like, he's bald and he's got like a beer, and he comes down. I forget his name, but he was at the show, and he's made it to NXT UK, and I was thinking that's pretty good, pretty cool. Seen him at a terrible event in the Leisure Centre, but he's flying the flag now. But
yeah, man, when you go to like those kind of events, like, so I trained to be a wrestler for a bit till I broke my neck,
right?
And it was just like it's wrestling in front of like nobody, or like it's like £5 a ticket, and it would be like 60 people there, but I'm just not interested in wrestling. I just came with our kids and stuff, and you're just kind of trying to make this work. You're like, hello, is anybody listening? People are getting up to go to the toilet, coughing, nobody's talking, and you're like, oh, this is terrible. It's cold. It's a horrible. Leisure centres are the worst because they're always cold because they've got like a swimming pool in it. Yeah. And the air ducts make it so cold, and you're just like, this is really terrible, but I like doing it, so.
How you have to start, though, isn't it? You know what I mean? You kind of Pack. You know, Pack from AEW. He's from the tune. He's from Newcastle, so he would have been in the leisure centres and stuff. It's crazy when you think about it. You know what I mean? But you have to start somewhere, man. Yeah,
man. Like you were saying about as well going to WrestleMania, Royal Rumble. That's what I was meant to be doing this year for my 30th. I was going to go to Royal Rumble, WrestleMania. Can I get them off the list? But obviously, COVID just ruined the world for the past 2 years. Which is still looks like it's going to be ruining it for most of this year as well. So
the one good thing working from home, I've worked at home for nearly a year now, and I'm so used to it. That's it's crazy.
Man, I've always worked from home because I'm self-employed. When everybody started working from home, they love it, and I'm like, welcome to just what I do all the time. It's brilliant. You get to wear your pajamas. If you need to be in a meeting, you've got like a nice suit, like shirt on or something, and you're just wearing like just your pajama bottoms and stuff. You've got like slippers on, and people you don't get like when everybody goes out to work. The thing I don't like about it is when everybody went out to work, it was like I got like pure nice and quiet time. Nobody was bothering me, but everybody's still in the house. Especially I've got kids as well. When they were off school, they were here. My partner was here, and I'm like, I need my quiet time. Like I have quiet time during the day when I could get my work done.
me breaks and stuff. To be fair, me breaks and me lunch. I'm nearly late from lunch more when I'm working from home than just because kids and stuff. It's crazy. Obviously, the kids aren't back at school yet. They go back in like a week or 2 weeks now. It's mental, but yeah, I'm taking the dog out for a walk with my kids, and I'm like, "Can you please hurry up? I'm going to be late." How do I explain that I'm late for lunch when I work at home? You know.
See, that's a good thing about being self-employed. Man, you don't have somebody to be like, I'm late for lunch. I can just do it. My lunch is whenever I want. But up here, my kids are back, so I've got that little kind of quiet time. They're back at school.
Yeah.
My partner's at work, and I can get that quiet time back in. This week I've had it, and it's been brilliant, man. You know what it's like. You've got a day off, and nobody's in the house, and you're like, oh, this is brilliant. You can just stretch out and stuff like that. So, who was your favourite wrestler of all time? Was it Bret Hart, or have you got somebody else?
So, right, it's long-winded, so I know you're meant to have one. I have got one, so I'll take you through it. So, first wrestler that I remember, Bret Hart, Hart Foundation, loved them. But my favourite was actually The Undertaker. Me dad took us to an event, and he scared us that much. He just wasn't. But then it was Bret after that. I remember I wanted the jacket, I had the glasses. I begged my mum to have Sky so I could watch Bret Hart. I remember me first, and obviously my brother was massively into it. He was 7 years older, so would stay up, always sleeping bags downstairs. And a lot of the events, it's weird. I went back and watched them, but I can't remember the undercards because I probably fell asleep. But my brother would wake us up. So I remember he woke us up for WrestleMania when he had the Iron Man match with Michaels. And Michaels beat him. I was crying my eyes out. I was very young, but I watched that live, absolutely crying my eyes out. My first Hart Foundation match that I remember, I think it was WrestleMania 7 against the Nasty Boys. Loved it, absolutely loved it. Just Bret Hart. But as I got older, the Rock was like, I was a teenager, or coming into teens. So The Rock, I remember I was at Royal Rumble 2000. I think that was on Channel 4. And I was just so excited for a Rock interview. That's the one thing with wrestling now, and I'm like this with MJF, but I haven't been for years. I never look forward to backstage segments. Back then, I couldn't wait just to see The Rock have a 2-minute interview. Like, that's how good The Rock was. I think that's the thing that's missing today as well. I think that's what I will say. So Bret Hart, to be clear, is my absolute favourite. If I was to get a tattoo of a wrestler, it's Bret Hart. He's a bit bitter now. So I remember the good days, but The Rock's very close, in terms of, The Rock was insane. But yeah, man, it's just, the Rock and Bret. I hate Austin. I hate his Hulk. I love Warrior. I absolutely love Warrior. Obviously, young, grown up. It's weird. WCW. It was only on my radar because of Nintendo 64 game. It was really when I first found out about it. When I look back, I think, how did I not even know? But I just didn't really watch it. My brother read about it in 18 bits. So I was obviously pro WWE just from watching it. So I've loved listening to 83 Weeks podcast with Eric Bischoff. So what I do is every time I listen to an episode, I go back and I watch the same event, and I just really enjoy it. And NWO, I wish I was a bit older because I probably wouldn't have got it at the time. Obviously, I was quite young. I would have been 7, 8. I wouldn't have appreciated that as much as I would have when I was 13, 14, 15. You know. But when you look back, that was incredible. Like, absolutely incredible. Jericho was insanely good. Rey Mysterio, you look back at some of WCW stuff, and I would have been blown away by it. Absolutely, because like I say, I had some VHSs, and Flying Brian Pillman's blown us away with a splash. But I tell you one thing, really random. I remember my first event that I really remember live. So I remember Michael's Undertaker as in the match that got us into it. But my first event that I just remember one match. It was the women's tag from Survivor Series 95. Players. And I had loads of Japanese wrestlers. So one of the Japanese wrestlers, I forget what he called, she was class back in the day. She won the match. She had just lost in the tag tournament in AEW. I think she's quite old now, obviously. But that event gets proper panned. I love that event because I love that women's tag. Absolutely love it. I loved Ahmed Johnson for some reason. And he's terrible. He is absolutely terrible. But I loved Ahmed Johnson back in the day. I don't know why, but I love that event, mate. I think wrestling's nostalgic. That's the one thing, because you see online, if I say someone's my favourite, it's not like, you can't really be too critical of wrestling. It's not like a real review. It's just who you like and what characters that you prefer. Like,
Yeah,
you know, and
100%, man. Like my kind of earliest getting VHS remembering it was Bash at the Beach, 1999, Spring Stampede 1999, and King of the Ring 99. And I remember just watching them, like, I remember staying up late to watch them, like, as I could watch it the next day. Like, it's not I had to see it, but I had to see it that night. And it was like the 3.5 hour, 4 hour, whatever it is, Spring Stampede. I was watching the whole thing just to see that kind of final, kind of fatal 4-way match, and just was in love with it ever kind of since getting the VHSs. And then I never actually got anything else, like wrestling related VHS DVD wise, till like 2003 when it was Bad Blood, because where I lived, you couldn't get it. Like,
couldn't get them.
HMV didn't really have them.
We're lucky. We had I don't know if it was a spa or something. So I lived in a little village, but we're really lucky. We had a really good video store. But we had a grandma that lived like about 30 miles away, and she used to get with everything. But I remember me mum and my dad had split up, and my dad's turned up at our house. He'd been to a car boot sale, turned up with 2 black bin bags full of wrestling VHS. I mean, there was some just random tapes. Just there was an event at the Royal Albert Hall, and I can't remember even who was on it, but I remember that it blew me away. He turned up with SummerSlam '92, and my brother watched it for days, just seeing if he could see himself on the video. VHS or something. I don't know. It's the Silver Vision sign. I'm eventually going to get. I haven't got really any tattoos. I've got like 2, but I'm going to eventually get like a sleeve, and I'm getting Silver Vision tattooed on the sign. It's literally my childhood. There was something being so excited about putting in that VHS and just obviously watching all the events and stuff. So, like, even all the old WrestleManias and stuff, I wouldn't have watched them if it wasn't for my brother. But it's as if I've seen them live, really, just because that's all I watched when I was young. Like, the Rockers blew me mind. I didn't even realize that was Shawn Michaels. Like, once I got a bit older, because you sort of forget, you know what I mean? But I didn't even realize. But although I'd seen Shawn Michaels turn on Marty Jannetty, and I couldn't believe how horrible he was at the time. It's insane.
No, man, I think back then for me it was my mum used to give it you can't just get them. They're like too expensive now. The thing you give to your kids just now as well. You're like, can't you just get that? It's too close to your birthday, stuff like that. But 2003 when I think she went to Asda or something. She got Bad Blood 2003. Then I was in HMV one day and I just seen like the wrestling selection and I was like, incredible. Right, I'm getting out all of these. I spent like £150 or something, and I was just sitting all weekend watching just wrestling, and it was like the Tagged Classics ones.
Classics, yeah.
Yeah, you got the 2 in it, so that was when that's when I started to catch up my kind of older wrestling, like WrestleMania 1, 2, stuff like that.
With all the wrestling, do you think the WrestleManias now were very long and stuff? Like the amount of wrestling we've had to catch up on as well, being born 1990. It's not like you have a podcast to listen to, YouTube to read, Wikipedia. Within a second, you've got the answers. You would be putting a VHS in, rewinding it, watching it. It's insane, man. Absolutely insane. I remember DVDs mainly. I remember when we got my brother. I don't know. It might have been DVD. It might have been VHS. But I remember when we first watched ECW, and it blew me mind. Rob Van Dam was like. So obviously everybody has favorite wrestlers at certain points. So mine was Bret, The Rock. Then it was Rob Van Dam. When he come to WWE, I found a new love for it. I can't even explain how excited I was. Jean-Claude Van Damme was my favourite actor. I appreciate he's terrible, but I watched every film. Then I was like, Rob Van Dam, he's like a martial artist. This is amazing. Mate, it was just insane, like insanely good. ECW is crazy. I've never seen anything like that in my life. And some of the wrestling's terrible, but some of it is outstanding as well. Like, and it was just, I'd never seen people going through tables. I'd never seen women pile driver through tables. Not that I'm really excited about, but it was so different. I couldn't believe it. You know what I mean?
It's not something you'll go out and seek out to see, but if it's on offer to see it, you're not going to turn it over. You know, you're going to watch it. But ECW for me was, it was a documentary that came out before the first One Night Stand.
Well, was it the ECW or something like that? Or?
Rise and Fall, I think it was.
Rise and Fall.
I watched that, and then I was like, this is actually really good. Then I got the best of matches, which is like on it. I've still got the DVD. It has the one that's not on the network, the Sabu versus Terry Funk barbed wire match.
Wow.
And I just remember watching it and being like, this is insane. These guys are insane. Then the one night stand, and then I went into this whole finding ECW things to download off of like LimeWire and shit like that for when you were younger.
Wow. No, mate. ECW was so good. I was quite lucky. I was really lucky that I had an older brother. So everything I've seen was through him. So I've seen all the like the ECW events. I'd just seen them through my brother, like Tommy Dreamer, babyface initially, and finally getting there. Raven, I loved Sabu Van Dam. Van Dam versus Jerry Lynn. They had about 3 or 4 matches that were just absolutely insane. I hadn't seen much of the Cactus Jack or Steve Austin stuff because they weren't there very long either. So I've had to go back and watch that stuff on YouTube. Obviously the promos mainly. Promos insane. That's the one thing I will say, and this is random, but today we're missing characters. Like, I think that's why when you see ratings and stuff down, like a lot of it is in-ring work, and the in-ring stuff now is probably better than it's ever been. Because like anything, it evolves. You know, I mean, the athletes. I wish they would slow down sometimes. I wish they would tell a bit of a better story. Like Cody and Dustin, perfect. Like absolute storytelling. You know, the max. But then also the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros and stuff. People say they don't sell, but the matches that I've seen that do, the moves are incredible. But they've been selling. Was it? I'm going off on a tangent here, but. The last pay-per-view when the Young Bucks won the title, that's the best tag match I've seen in about, I don't even know how long, absolutely insane. It was like 30 minutes, absolute clinic, blew me away. Like I say, I'm more pro WWE, but absolutely blew me away, mate. I couldn't believe it. But
yeah, I'm just not a big fan of the Young Bucks at all. I don't get them, but like, and get why people get them. Like,
that's the one thing I will say, they haven't got character. So in ring work, like it sort of blows away and sort of put up with tag. You know what I like about them as a tag team, and I think this is WWE's fault. They put so many single wrestlers together. They haven't got the same costumes. They haven't got official music. So if you come down as a tag team with a proper name, an outfit, and some music, I'm over the moon. I say it's a tag team because back in the day. They had the Rockers, they had the Brain Busters, the Heart Foundation, the Nasty Boys, Demolition. I hate Demolition, and when I look back, they were amazing. Like, honestly, tag teams were just they were just insanely good back in the day. Why did they just put single wrestlers together? Just me heading.
I think it's just one of those marketing things. Like, oh, these 2 guys aren't doing much. We need to use them this year, so let's put them together so they can make some money. You know, like we'll just be.
Crazy
sitting there try to come up with things, and
we'll break up a tag team. That's fairly Jason Jordan and Chad Gable at the time. They weren't massive, but I was really excited. I thought these could be really good. Give them a 3-4 year run. We'll break you up and make you the son of Kurt Angle. You know what I mean? Like I love WWE, but please don't do that. It was so. And I'm not positive. I still got excited about it. I was like, right, we'll do something good here. We'll do something good.
And they just haven't. They've just let it go. I like when they do that as well. It's one thing I don't like about AEW. Sometimes like they do long storytelling, like which is really good, but then sometimes they'll be midway through a story and then they'll just let it go. Like they'll just forget about it. And then I thought he didn't like the Lance Archer stuff just now when it was like Lance Archer's this big bad guy, big heel, and now like he's a face, he's a good guy. And I'm like, why did you just like the week before he was coming out going, I'm going to kill people. The next week he's like this waving at people and stuff. I'm like, what's happening?
Let's say I was fully invested in it for about the first year, partly probably because it was really different. It was so different. Obviously the Omega Moxley match, that was like a death match and stuff. It like made us feel like I was young again. You know, like when I was watching the stuff back in the day. I don't know if the roster's too big because I know it's really massive. But they seem to have so many tag matches weekly that I do just forward through. I just don't care. Like, I don't care. And I was excited about Lance Archer initially because I'd read about him and I got excited. I thought, oh, he's really good in New Japan. I don't rate him at all. I think he has potential, but his match against, is it Eddie Kingston last week? It was so sloppy. I was like, this is awful. Like, I couldn't watch it. It was terrible. So Eddie Kingston, mid-promo guy, but the match together was horrible. I just forward through a lot of it, to be honest with you. And like, you mentioned the Kenta reveal, like that did nothing for me because I thought I was excited about him coming to WWE, and he did nothing for us. Like, but again, I care more about character, if I'm honest. Like, it's weird when I was younger. Bret Hart is one of the best wrestlers of all time in terms of technical. I didn't actually watch Bret Hart for wrestling ability. And I look back now, his character wasn't even great. He was just a pure white meat baby face. But
it was just that the colour, the pink and stuff like that. You just attracted your eye and stuff like that as well.
Pink and black is literally my favourite colour now. And he wasn't a great character, but then great character work in terms of The Rock. He had some really good matches. I didn't care about it. He could throw punches the whole match. I was just so excited to watch The Rock because his character was that good. And that's for me, that's what I'm missing these days. So, like, if the character's not there, I just see it as a match. And if there's no stakes, if there's no storyline that's just sort of put together, that's what you crave, storyline. That's why you watch it, really, you know what I mean? Or for something to happen. But
yeah, the thing that you were saying with AEW, sometimes it does just feel like I can't remember a main event that they've had this year, 2021, but it's not been a tag match. It's been like a 6-man, 8-man, 2-man, 12-man, whatever you.
That's the thing, yeah.
Let's just send everybody out and then here's Sting.
Great. Talks of a 6-man tag title? Please don't do that, whatever you do. I can't handle that. That's ridiculous. But no, like I said, the last match that I enjoyed the tag match between the Bucks and I forget, is it FTR? I forgot what they were called in Dojo. I really enjoyed that, to be fair. I think Rey Fenix is like the new Mysterio in a sense, if you want to look at it in that. I think he's got a lot of potential. Mm-hmm. Moxley, to be honest with you, I'm not a massive Moxley fan. He does, I look forward to his matches. But I never really enjoyed his in-ring work that much in WWE. I loved him. I loved the Shield. But he was my least favourite between Reigns and Rollins. I like Rollins as the sneaky heel. I like Reigns as the power. Reigns' character at the minute is excellent. I hope it seems like he's not actually being given as much promos, like written. It seems like he's just sort of talking himself, which is one good thing about AEW. You can tell stuff isn't as written.
That's a good thing and also a bad thing. You can tell stuff that isn't as written. When you see it, sometimes you're like, "Oh, that's why they've got writers." I get it. Why?
Yes, that's why you have writers, and it's trying to find the fine balance in it. You know what I mean? It's weird, and that's the thing about wrestling, though. For me, like, you know, Geordie, 3-hour show, 2-hour show, Raw and SmackDown is 3 hours, however long the shows are. You know, there's so much on it. There's some stuff that's bad, but there's some excellent stuff as well. If you're a wrestling fan, you just wait until you get to the good. I don't know how to explain it because if it was a film, I'd probably turned off. But with wrestling, I'll sit through it. It's not really a problem because you're either waiting for a surprise or you just can't wait to get to the next segment. It's just a love of wrestling, really, man.
I think the best way to describe it is like you were saying, Jean-Claude Van Damme's was one of your favourite actors. It was the same for me. Like, terrible movies. Like, you should never watch any of them. Like, none. But you want to watch it for when he does like that kick or when he does like
kickbox good sport, mate. That's like my two favourite films, and they're terrible. The soundtracks are awful, but you're waiting for that kick. You're waiting for the fight as well.
You're just waiting for that like little bit. That's the same thing with wrestling. It's that little bit you remember. The rest of it's just filler till you get to that bit that you want to remember.
That's the thing. There's so many pay-per-views. I always like that was a cracking pay-per-view. I think I remember. You know, I've watched them back, but I remember 1-2 matches, and that's it. It's really weird, man. I said it random again. I tell you what I probably loved, and I wish they pulled the plug with Mr. Kendi, mate. Mr. Kendi was on his way to being my favourite wrestler at the time. Just pure promo work. I'd never seen anything like it when he just come down, dropped it down, and pulled it. I was hoping he was going to be obviously Vince McMahon's son, but
yeah, I think he had some. I think he had some weird stuff that happened with like steroids and stuff like that made him had to leave the company. So, but finishing off, the final question that we always ask is, if you could go to any event in history and compete, so wrestle against somebody, what would it be? Mine personally would be against Bret Hart, SummerSlam '94, that blue cage match. Replace Owen, put me in there. I would love that. That's one of my favourite matches of all time.
Incredible, mate. Absolutely incredible. For me, probably because it's my favourite event of all time, Royal Rumble 2000. Take Triple H out the picture, I'll fight Cactus Jack. That event, mate, blew my mind. I think it was Channel 4, my brother recorded it for us. I was meant to be at school the next day, obviously on Monday. My mum let us have the day off, and I think I watched it 3 times that day, just in a row. I know the card off by heart. I think Taz come out, beat Kurt Angle, had tremendous triple man tag. I think like Jeff Hardy, Dudley's and stuff at the start. That card is my favourite event I can't even explain. I was so excited to see Cactus Jack. I never really class Cactus Jack as one of my favourite wrestlers, but then when I think nearly every match that I love is Cactus Jack doing something absolutely insane. When that far down on Triple H and he sits up and the blood comes out, I couldn't get over how good it was. It's weird. I don't really enjoy seeing people bleed, but in terms of wrestling, I'd never seen anything. I think I'd seen ACW stuff, but I'd never seen it in a WWE ring. We'd seen big bumps and we'd seen blood, but there's something when he sat up and it just started pouring. I was like, this is insane. You can't be doing this. But yeah, I mean, take Triple H out. I'll fight Cactus Jack. That was absolutely incredible.
With that pay-per-view, I remember getting the WWF magazines, and they used to have the breakdown of the pay-per-view in pictures. So it'd be like they sum up the one match in 3 pictures, and it'd be the whole thing. I wasn't lucky enough to get the pay-per-view. I remember watching the clips of it on Sky 1, like the weekend after. Yeah. But I remember just getting this magazine and just obsessing over it. And then same way No Way Out 2000, when it was like the Hell in a Cell. I remember obsessing over it and these pictures. Then it was a couple of years later I actually seen it with the Tag Classic stuff, and I was like, this is amazing. I wish I was able to see it when it was live.
I'll tell you one thing I'll never forgive Channel 4 for. That Royal Rumble, The Rock was doing an interview talking about the Big Show and cut off, went to an advert. I've never seen that interview. I need to go and watch it on the network. I need to see if it's on. I've never seen the end of that interview. I was going wild at the time. But no, I mean, that event, again, subjective, nostalgic. So, you know, if you were born in 2004, if you hadn't ever seen it at the time live, it's probably not going to be a favourite event because, you know what I mean? But for me, it's absolutely blew me away. But I think the documentary before that as well, I think Mick Foley had a documentary out, like the 3 Faces of Foley and stuff. Timeline might be wrong, but I remember that I got that on DVD and that blew me mind as well. It was always insane, like death matches and stuff. So no, that match was incredible. Probably blew me mind. Although I don't know who won the Rumble. So I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I have to check. I know everything before the Rumble, but I think everything's just a blur after it because the match was that good. I think Austin won. I think, but I'm not too sure.
No, I think it was the Rock. I'm sure it was the Rock. I'm sure it was the Rock.
He won everything at the time.
Anyway, man, thanks for being on the podcast. Where can people find you? I've got your links that you sent over in the description, but where can they find you?
Literally on Twitter, I mean, it's just Geordie Rick on Twitter. That's absolutely fine. That's the only thing I'm really on. I'm on Facebook, but it's more personal. Instagram as well. So on Twitter, Geordie Rick. Magpie channel will be in the link, so I contribute to that quite a lot. Watch along to obviously I'm a Newcastle fan, but massive wrestling fan, mate. Like I say, it's the first podcast that I've reached out to start doing something, so wouldn't mind doing some more, mate. It's just cool to chat about wrestling, really. Huh?
Yeah, man. Well, thanks for being on. If you wait there, I'll end the podcast and I'll talk to you about what's going to happen next time.
Spot on, mate.